What's up, guys? It is 80s slasher time. We're going to review this movie right here. I'm reaching over for it right now. It is Night School. Thank you, Dave Vanderhall, for sending this to me. So anyway, guys, let's do this. Night School stars Rachel Ward, Leonard Mann, and is directed by Ken Hughes.
Prepare for a lesson in terror.
What's up, guys? It's a good day. It's 80s slasher movie time. Even better, it's 1981, which is probably the best year, fight me, in slasher history ever. Oh, and by the way, real quick, guys, you can see the movie there in the background. Going forward, you're going to start seeing a lot of dedications to my patrons. If you are of the decapitation level, then I'm going to dedicate a review to you. Could be the new release reviews, could be catalog, whatever. But again, you're going to start seeing a lot of these. This one is dedicated to Brendan Tiggy, one of my decap patrons. Thank you so much, good sir. Appreciate you and all my patrons and what you guys do for me to keep the Drumdums train a-rolling. Thank you. Now, Dave Vanderhall, Dave will send me movies just out of the kindness of his heart. He doesn't expect a review or anything. He's a horror lover, and we talk horror all the time. And every now and then he'll just send me a movie, and I can't help but review the movie because he sends me these gems like Nightmare Beach, which I reviewed a few months ago. And then he just sent me Night School just because these two movies have something in common. They both have a killer that wears a motorcycle helmet. And I'm finding something out about myself. I love movies with motorcycle helmet wielding killers or just characters. And there's plenty of them today. Boy Kills World had a motorcycle helmet character. Of course, Kill Bill. And yeah, the list goes on and on, but they're just fun. I don't know what it is. But yeah, this movie was fantastic. It definitely has that early 80s, 1981, just a very dark, gritty feel to it. Kind of like Nighthawks. Remember the movie Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone? That would be a fun review. I think that's a thriller, right? I think that would be a good double feature with Night School. Just the way these movies are filmed back then. I don't know, they just have like a harder edge to them. 10 to Midnight, you know what I mean? There's just a laundry list of movies from the early 80s that that's my favorite vibe. Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2 has that vibe. And it feels like we will never get that vibe again. Slumber Party Massacre, I could keep going on. But let me tell you about Night School. It stars a very lovely Rachel Ward. You might remember her from The Final Terror, and she was also in Against All Odds. Just a big name for that specific time period, and then you didn't really see too much of her anymore. I'm not saying she didn't go on to do other things, but I think this was kind of her prime era when she was in her early 20s, I think. I always get her confused with the actress that plays in Superman 2. They do look similar, and I thought that was her at first, but they're just very similar looking actresses. But this movie is about a serial killer that is a head hunter. It is a whodunit, and the reveal is kind of irresistible. So I'm going to do a little spoiler section at the end of the review, but don't worry, I'll let you know once we get to that part because it's fun to talk about. But every killer has to have their own little unique signature, and in this one, he is a head hunter. So all the kills are pretty much the same. He decapitates them, and he puts their head in water. And it definitely has like a tribal influence. That's why he does it. But this is a very well shot movie. It takes advantage of the darkness and just really building tension for these kills. It's not more of like a comedy horror type movie, which you can have aspects of comedy in slasher movies. It happens all the time. But this one chooses to take itself very seriously, and I think that just adds to the overall vibe. And the reason it's called Night School is because it involves a night school. And Rachel Ward plays Eleanor. She happens to be a student at this night school, and this killer seems to be killing students at the school. But the one little catch here is that Eleanor, and this is established in the first act of the movie, is that she does have a relationship with her teacher, who is definitely a red herring in the movie. The movie makes you want to think that he is the killer. The character's name is Vincent. And Vincent is quite the ladies' man. You know, he has a tough time being faithful. He's playing the field, even though I guess he shouldn't be playing the field. So this movie throws all different types of story angles at you to keep you guessing throughout, and it really does that. But it also is visually intoxicating because of the look of the movie, the nature of the killer. It just has an overall creepy vibe to it, which is fun. I'm surprised that this movie didn't do that well, and we all know in 1981, that was when we had, I mean, a freaking onslaught of slasher movies coming out. It was the heyday of the slasher movement because of Halloween and Friday the 13th. And I think that's the problem. There were so many of these movies that I think most of them got lost in the shuffle, and this is one of them. I think if there weren't that many slasher movies coming out, if this would have been like maybe one of 2 movies coming out in 81 that was a slasher and not one of 27, and I'm just guessing, then yeah, it would have found its audience. But it just got lost because of that reason. You have fine performances in the movie. In slasher movies, you don't really need a big star. But I think Rachel Ward, the camera loves her. So yeah, this movie had a lot going for it. And I'm surprised that I had never even really heard of the movie until now. You know, the early 80s, I think it's just the gift that keeps on giving. There's so many great movies that came out around that time. I just reviewed The Seduction on Tubi. Thank God for Tubi. And man, that era of horror movies is just top notch. And I think that is probably my favorite era. Even down to the characters, the way the characters behaved themselves, the way the actors played those characters. We'll never have that again, I don't think. There's just something unique about it, not to take away anything from acting the profession today. I think it's great. I think we have amazing performances today. And I think every era of cinema has its own little, you know, unique strengths and weaknesses. But the kills are fun in this movie. Like I said, they are a little bit redundant, but it's always fun to watch a decapitation occur. And I think one cool aspect is that you know that this next victim, they're going to get a decap, but how's it going to happen? Now, there is also this detective in the movie. Every slasher movie has to have a detective, right? And his name is Judd, played by Leonard Mann. He is an Italian actor, and he definitely has that look about him. But he's probably one of the biggest red herrings in the movie. It points at him a lot. You think, oh, maybe he could be the killer. Just because there's a lot of moments where he'll show up at Eleanor's house like uninvited, and she'll walk in and she'll be like, what are you doing in my house? You know, he's very suspicious of her throughout the movie. And I think Leonard Mann does a really good job playing this character, giving it some gravitas. I think he stands up nicely next to, like, say, John Saxon, right? I'm surprised I didn't see more of him. Oh, also, guys, one more thing. I forgot to mention this, and you got to mention this with this movie. Those deep cut 80s movies, oftentimes there's some nice surprises in terms of like love scenes and whatnot, and this one is no exception. There's a shower scene that involves some paint and some weird shenanigans going on. It's very seductive, don't get me wrong, but it's unique. I've never seen a love scene like this, so it's kind of a nice bonus, right? And if you haven't seen this, I'm not going to spoil it, right? But yeah, look for that. Wow. So now I want to jump into the spoiler section of the review because I can't not talk about that. And it's a big part of the plot of the movie. It's not just a random reveal and, oh, okay, I remember that character from a certain time. And then it really amounts to nothing. No, the reveal in this movie ties directly to the overall plot and the motivation of the killer. So you are dismissed if you don't want to know who the killer is. All right. So anyway, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The killer in the movie is Eleanor. That surprised me, actually. I didn't see that coming, but there were a couple times throughout the movie I was thinking, ooh, will they make her the killer? But no, I didn't. You know, if I had to guess, I would have thought that it would have been like maybe Vincent or somebody like that. Or it could have even been the detective. So this guy, Vincent, the ladies love him to death, and Eleanor happens to be kind of obsessed with him, and she gets pregnant by him. And unfortunately, he's a rotten cheat, and so the motivation of the killer is, you know, Eleanor goes after every woman that he has been with. And the reason they're beheaded is because she was studying this like tribe of headhunters. I can't remember, but I think there is some kind of tie-in with headhunting and you know, the reason being. And I guess the nature of Vincent. I'll have to go back. I can't remember exactly, but I know that tied in there pretty nicely. But also, even after you find out that Eleanor is the killer, and I think Rachel Ward plays her really well, coming off as kind of psychotic, there's even a big surprise at the movie because Vincent ends up taking the fall for her, which I did not expect at all. So this was definitely a fun little slasher, giving it a super high purchase worthy. Happy to add it to my slasher collection, which has been growing over the years, in some part thanks to a lot of you guys. But yeah, if you haven't seen Night School, definitely add it to your watch list. And you might want to buy it, especially since everything in physical media, especially when it comes to horror and slashers, is skyrocketing in value. Get on that. But also, let me know in the comments what you guys think of it when you see it. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free for Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on all my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Drumdum out.